Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Spinless Rose Podcast, episode number 138. I am Brendan. UFC 275, Glover Teixeira taking on Jiri Procházka. Holy crap, what a card. This might have been, you know what? I don't want to say that because every time there's a new good card, you just like, oh, this might have been one of the best one ever. Anyway, we're going to go over the main card here on this episode. The next episode, we'll cover the prelims. So, before we get started, I appreciate it. If you like MMA, if you like the UFC, if you like watching videos where people talk about those things, subscribe to the channel because those are all the videos that I pretty much do, and you're going to like pretty much every video I put out. The subscription will let you know, hey, that guy put another video out, so I'm going to go watch it. And if you like the video, please click the like button. All right, let's get going. So, what happened here? Glover Teixeira defending his belt for the very first time against Jiri Procházka. Jiri getting it done with 30 seconds left. This fight was fantastic. I just wrote a note in here. This fight is why I love the sport of MMA. I do. All right, it just had everything. I love it. It had decent grappling, back and forth grappling. It had great striking. It had sloppy striking within reason. It had a lot, because, you know, when there's a lot of heart involved, you know, there can be some sloppy moments. It had a lot of just ups and downs. It was like just a roller coaster of emotion, man. It's just so much fun to watch, and it's a great fight. It's unfortunate that Glover did lose his belt, because I do like Glover Teixeira quite a bit. But, you know, there's nothing to really, you know, I mean, he can be upset with himself because he made a mistake that led to the modified rear naked choke from Jiri. And I think there's nothing to really hang his head about too much as far as beating back that challenger in Jiri for as much and as long as he did. All right, so let's go round by round and let's start talking about this fight and how it played out. Okay, also the scorecards. So the scorecards came out here. I had it a little bit different, I think, than some of the other people did. Yeah, so I think the way I had it, I had Jiri actually winning the fight anyway, or no, it was tied going into the last round, but these other judges did not see it that way, and it was, you know, it's just unfortunate because it would have been interesting to go to that final one and get the decision read out, but you know, the story of him getting the finish in the last 30 seconds is also amazing. It's all good, man. There's no bad things here. It's pretty much all good. Anyway, let's get what happened in each round. So in the first round, Glover was doing really well with body kicks, and he got a single leg takedown, and he was controlling Jiri on the ground, in the guard, landing a little bit of damage. And it was back on the feet, and the guys were both landing. Then Glover got a takedown to mount, landing some ground and pound. Jiri got up and landed some good ground and pound of his own because he ended up getting on top. And that was an excellent round. I think Glover got the best of the first round. I think most people think that. Looking at the striking numbers here, he was also on top, 27-14, and he had more ground control. He had more control, and I think a lot of it, he ended up doing more damage overall in that first round anyway. So I'm not upset. I'm not in any disagreement there. Also, a side note, I love how fluid and awkward Jiri moves. He just lets everything fly on the feet. There's like no reservations. He doesn't hold back anything. Everything just comes out of his body naturally. It's very traditional martial arty, and they mentioned that on the broadcast as well. He does leave his hands down, and at the later in the fight, and at the end, when he's getting tired, it kind of, you know, takes a toll on him because he's not able to get out of the way of all those shots. So Jiri was landing some big shots, including a knee up the middle, and Glover was on shaky legs really bad in this second round, okay? But this always happens to Glover. He is so freaking tough, and he just has so much heart. He just does not stop. He'll keep going. You have to put him away. He will not stop moving forward. Jiri made a mistake. Took a left hook from Glover, and Glover got his back and then ended up mounting him and doing some damage himself. So not a great end to the second round for Jiri, but being mounted, that is, and taking some huge elbows. But there was so much damage early, and one of those elbows did open up a giant cut on Jiri, right above Yuri's eye. There was so much damage early in that round for Jiri that I ended up giving him that round. And I guess I'm crazy because everybody else, including the judges, had it for Glover. But remember, guys, a punch landed in the first second of a round has the exact same amount of value as a punch landed in the end, the very last second of a round. Okay? If you jab me with 1 second into the round, and I jab you 1 second before the round ends, and those are the only two things that happen, that round is a draw. Okay? There is no difference. It doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want about, oh, well, at the end of the round, clearly he was in control, and he was the one who was doing the damage when the bell rang. That doesn't matter. You have a set amount of time to do the damage in. Whether you do the damage in the first 10 seconds or the last 10 seconds, it doesn't matter. Who did more damage? And I think Jiri did more damage in the second round. It's close, but I had him doing more damage. So I had Jiri up anyway. So that's the dissenting opinion, I think, because a lot of people had Teixeira up 3 rounds to 1, and the only way Jiri could have won was with a finish. I had it tied going in. But anyway, all right, so the third round was clearly Jiri's. This was the biggest blowout round if there was one. Jiri just did this. He also does this mid-stance switch pause. Like he does this. He switches stances. He pauses for half a second and then launches a really fast left straight. Beautiful. I love it. He lands it so well. He did it a bunch of times, and it was really landing on Glover. Glover was taking really big damage, and he has a cut on the bridge of his nose after the end of the third round, and he was bleeding bad. Dude, there was just so much damage in the favor of Jiri, and he almost ended the fight in this round anyway. You know, Glover was almost completely out of there, as he was also in the second round. So I gave this third round easily to Jiri, maybe even a 10-8. I didn't have it that way, though. The jabs from Jiri were just, they kept damaging, flowing out, but Glover was doing a better job on the feet in the fourth round here, and he got the takedown. Glover got to mount, landed some damage, also had a really tight arm triangle attempt. Jiri got out of it and kept engaging on the ground. Then Glover took the back. Then there was another reversal by Jiri. Just so much back and forth. It was just, that's what I'm saying. It just had everything. It was so good. And then Glover got on top, and he was doing some damage. He landed some big hooks in the round. Like Jiri was landing some big shots to Teixeira, and Teixeira's chin was able to handle it. It was crazy. This fourth round, I think damage-wise and with control, obviously, being the icing on the cake, I think Teixeira wins this fourth round. So I had it split going into the final round. Now, up until the finish, I think Glover was winning, and I think it's pretty obvious looking on the striking numbers here. Glover had the takedown. He got to mount, landing damage, and then Jiri ended up on top and got the back, and then did that modified rear naked choke for the finish with 30 seconds left. This fight is why I love the sport. I said it at the top. I'll say it again. It's just so damn good. I can't think of a more complete fight that didn't go the distance, although it virtually did. I can't think of a better display of mixed martial arts in all aspects of mixed martial arts at a super high level. It just had everything. You know, I know there are other fights that do those things. I know there are other fights, but dude, it's just, this fight was something else. It was incredible. And the added stakes of it being for the title, and, you know, Glover's possible retirement fight, although he did not retire. He's 42. He's not retiring. So, yeah, with that, let's take a look at the light heavyweight division here. We got Glover going to probably be dropped to number 2. He's probably going to switch spots with Jiri here. Yuri's going to bump up to number 1. Jan already has top billing. He beat Rakic in that weird accident. Well, it wasn't an accident, but Rakic hurt his knee in that fight. So Jan will likely be taking on Jiri for the title as soon as possible. What's next for Glover Teixeira? Right? Do we feed him to the wolves? Who in here, who he hasn't fought yet, do you actually want to see him fight against? Ankalaev? No. Rakic? Maybe. Blachowicz, he fought and beat already. Procházka, he just fought. Anthony Smith is the beatdown where he knocked his teeth out. Santos, he beat already. I don't know if he's taking on Reyes. I don't think so. Paul Craig might be an interesting one, but that's a big jump now because Paul Craig's ranked number 8. So either you're feeding him directly to the wolves, or you can give him some time off and let a little bit of this sort itself out, and then you can have him take someone on. I think it's all good for him. And no matter what happens, it's kind of probably going to be the end because I don't see him getting another title shot unless he absolutely blows the doors off of a number 1 contender. And I just don't see that happening. It's we'll go over Glover's career in a retrospective when he officially calls for his retirement. But until then, we'll just leave it with, I think he's incredible. I think that his perseverance is something else. If you want to learn how to not quit in the middle of a fight, he's one of those guys where you could watch him and learn how to have perseverance. I know it's something like you can't teach, right? You can't, like, how are you supposed to teach perseverance or the ability to gut it out, to be able to dig down deep and find something deep within yourself? Keep pushing forward, to go through the pain barrier, all those things, right? How are you supposed to teach that? Well, I think looking at this fight or going back and watching some of Glover's wins when he's just getting battered and beaten down, especially when he's older and he's not supposed to be winning, that's a guy who can teach other people that just by watching him. So, if for nothing else, that's amazing. Okay, we got another title fight here. I don't know. Was there controversy about this one? I didn't have it super controversial, so I'm good. But it was a little weird. Okay, we can go this round by round. I had Shevchenko ends up getting the win here in a weird fight. So this fight was, how do I put this? Because it wasn't a terrible fight. It was a higher level fight. There was a lot of skill involved. It was. So when I go round by round, I'll kind of explain it a little bit, but the overall theme of this one was Santos would get it to the ground and do pretty much nothing. I mean, she got a couple of submission attempts that they weren't close to being finished, but, they were good attempts, right? So those count for something, but they weren't so bad that you're like, oh, wait, the fight's almost over. Like, oh, man, it's so deep and the fight's going to be over. No, there's never any of that. So they do count for something, but do they outweigh the damage, which is clearly in favor of Shevchenko in every single round? So that's what you're looking for here. And had Santos won this, it would be hard to feel like she actually won the fight because she wasn't able to do anything. She would get her down and she could hold her down, but she wasn't able to really do anything with it. And on the feet, she was very outmatched. I mean, she landed a couple of shots of her own, and I think she did a fine job, not getting knocked out, that is, but it would have been very strange to see her get her hand raised, and then what? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Shevchenko can get the immediate rematch, but this fight felt weird. It felt like Shevchenko was forcing things. Like, this was not her best performance. And because of that, she put herself in a bad position, and then Santos got to ride out the round without doing damage, mind you. So let's talk about it round by round real quick, and I'll explain my logic behind why I had Shevchenko winning anyway. So Santos was dominating the grappling against the cage, and No, she wasn't. My bad. Shevchenko was doing really good, dominating in the clinch with double underhooks, and then she made a mistake and slipped when she went for a takedown, and that allowed Santos to get on top. And then ended up taking the back and getting a body triangle. Didn't really do any damage, though. So there was some control time, like cage control time, which is different than positional control time. But if you look at control, 128 to 151. So Santos didn't really have a huge advantage in the control time. All right, she did have those 2 submission attempts. Neither one of them was so deep that you thought the fight was going to be over. Total strikes definitely in favor of Shevchenko, 34 to 12, and significant strikes, 10 to 5. Obviously, the damage went to Shevchenko, just the visual damage. And like I said, I don't think that submission attempt was close enough to warrant her winning that round. I gave that first round to Shevchenko. I said Santos probably got it 10-9 because, she had the back. But looking back at it, I don't think she should get that round. All right, so in the second round, Santos got a takedown. She didn't even do any damage, and she even had to fight off a submission at one point. So the judges are going to give her that. I thought maybe they were going to give her those first 2 rounds for sure. I'm glad they didn't because we're emphasizing damage here, and even in the second round, Shevchenko landed more damage. Now, do I think Shevchenko won the second round? No, I had it tied going into the third. I gave the second round to Santos, but it wasn't a blowout, even though she had control of that entire round. 3 minutes and 40 seconds of control time, and did nothing with it. Even in that second round in bad position, Shevchenko was landing more shots. They were pity-pat, and they don't really count for too much, but 64, that's a lot. 7 significant strikes to 4, and Santos had a positional advantage the entire time. Just to put that in perspective, right? That's what I was saying. It's very weird. Had Santos got the win here, it would feel strange. Okay, and then in the third round, there was some really nice cheating by Santos' team there. She forgot her mouth guard, so she got a little break there. That was nice for her, getting a little rest. I refuse to believe that that's nerves or wasn't planned. That's bullshit. Fuck off. No, she waited until everybody was out of the cage, took 3 steps, and then backed up and then pointed to her mouth. She knew exactly what the fuck she was doing. Her corner knew exactly what they were doing that round. I don't want to fucking hear it. So anyway, there was some nice cheating there to give her a break. And then, so the grappling exchanges, again, Valentina gets the back taken, and now she could, she got her back taken again in this third round, and if someone had her down 3 rounds, that's a possibility. But again, look at the damage. When they were on the feet, Shevchenko did damage to her, and Santos did no damage on the ground. And even the submission attempts in this round, it says 1 here, but was there really? Was it that close? I don't think so. That being said, I gave that round to Santos as well. I mean, that's fine. She did have a lot of control. Maybe we could give it to her. She did a little bit of damage. Maybe we could give it to her. Fourth round, finally it was a round contested with damage, easily measurable damage on the feet, and Shevchenko just doing what she needed to do. So I had it 38-38 going into the fifth and final round here, giving that, because I gave that round to Shevchenko. So Shevchenko did some decent work on the feet and got a takedown of her own and got on top, did some damage, and did some work. So that's what, here's the thing. It was a split decision. One of the judges had it Santos by 1 round. One of them had it Shevchenko by 1 round, and then Clemens Werner over here had 4 rounds to Shevchenko. You know why Santos can't be mad? And I loved her attitude. She was not mad about it. She wasn't making excuses for the decision or anything like that. Do you know why you can't be mad about this? Because you did no damage. I will talk about it on the prelims as well, because there was a situation where a very similar situation played out. It's not that you're doing a bad job by controlling your opponent, but if you're not landing damage or actively going for submissions that are working, right? And those two go hand in hand. You land a little bit of damage, and then you transition into a submission attempt, and then you land a little bit of damage to open up the submission attempt or open up the defense, vice versa. And then you go for the submission attempt, which gets them to relax and then try to hold on. Then you go for some damage. You go back and forth. It's been done time and time again since MMA has taken its modern form. In the past, holding someone down in and of itself was enough to get you rounds, even if you got outlanded. And I'm glad it's not like that anymore. That being said, what you need to do to play this modern MMA game, if you're a grapple-heavy opponent, if you're a submission-heavy opponent, is to throw a couple punches in between your attempts. Throw a couple elbows while you're in a dominant position. That's all you need to do. Had Santos landed 4 shots when she was in a dominant position, 4 punches, I think she could have won round 1, definitely round 2. Whatever judge, that judge that gave Shevchenko 4 rounds, I think it easily could. I think the only round Shevchenko would have, or the 2 rounds that Shevchenko definitively would have won were 4 and 5. Those first 3 rounds would have went to Santos had she landed 4 or 5 punches from a dominant position. It's all it would have taken, just to show that you're doing damage. You're actively trying to finish the fight, because holding on does not do that. Overall, it wasn't a great fight to watch. I didn't think it was super exciting, but hey, they can't all be winners. And when you're a champ that long, you're bound to have some stinkers. That's kind of the name of the game. Okay, here. The rematch. Joanna Jedrzejczyk versus Zhang Weili. First round, Weili ends up getting the spinning back fist knockout in the second round. Very impressive win for her. Joanna just, she's never had the best chin, and she's gotten away with it because she's an excellent striker. Straw weights don't hit that hard, and the division wasn't filled with people who punched really hard anyway. Even though she did take on some hard hitters, but she was so much better than them. In this situation, first of all, this should have been 5 rounds. Regardless of outcome, regardless of whether or not it ended in the second round, or if it could have, if that spinning back fist doesn't end, it ends in the third round. I don't care. Regardless of the round that it ends in, this should have been scheduled for 5 rounds. These women are designed to fight for 5 rounds. This should have been a 5-round fight. Also, another thing. So Joanna was getting the better of it on the feet in that first round, I thought. But looking at these striking numbers, maybe I'm way off. Maybe it was the jabs. No, I was just off. It looked to me that she was landing the bigger shots, like she was landing the more damaging ones. So these numbers might not tell the whole story here. That first round was fair. I thought it was fairly close. But she got those takedowns too. Maybe Zhang just won that first round, and I'm just off. So here's the other thing. So great for Weili. Maybe she's right back in the saddle to get a title shot, because Carla's the champ now. She doesn't have to go through Rose, who she already has 2 losses to. Maybe we have the Joanna Rose three-peat here, not being for a title, and getting some fun matchups in. because we've already seen them fight, and there's we can go look at the division. Let's look at the division here real quick. Yeah, so Weili, I don't see how she could jump up to number 1 by beating someone who's technically unranked. You know what? I think it's time. Mackenzie Dern needs to fight somebody up here now. Yep, Mackenzie Dern just needs to fight one of these girls. And not Carla Esparza. Weili should probably get the title shot. That's a fresh matchup. Nami Yunus could take on Dern. Jedrzejczyk could take on Dern. Yeah, it's no more favorable matchups. She's got to jump into the deep end now. And, maybe this time the judges will actually watch the fight. And she won't skate by and get a win she doesn't deserve. Anyway, a side note, I thought Joanna looked fine. I think she looked, not ring rust, but I think she doesn't look her best. And I don't know if it's because of her age or whatever. Also, side note, fake boobs are not your friend in MMA. As far as making money goes and those things, I'm not talking about that. I just mean athletically and competitively in the sport of MMA. There is a weight component to the sport. We might not like it. We might not like the way it's handled or done, or we think it's antiquated, but it is what it is right now. Why would you do something like this and make it? I know Miesha Tate's done it, and I know other fighters have done it as well. I get it. For whatever reason they want to do that to, it's none of my business. Honestly, that's none of my business, and nor do I, I don't think, I am not saying that they shouldn't have them, nor do I care that they do that, or really, I do not care at all. I am purely speaking of the weight they add to your body and the fact that you can't cut that weight anymore because it's not, they're artificial, right? It's a fixed quantity. It's a fixed entity. That weight will always remain the same no matter how much water you cut, no matter how much fat you cut off your body. That weight's always going to be there. It's not going to make your life easier. Now, if you're a heavyweight, adding a pound or 2, not a big deal. Light heavyweight, not a big deal. Middleweight, could be a big deal, but probably not. These are straw weights. They weigh 115 pounds. That's likely 1%, close to 1% of her on-weight body weight. Why? You're adding another percent. That's just weight you have to cut from other places. That means it's an extra pound of water, however much they weigh, right? How much they weigh, let's say a pound, because I think that's relatively conservative. It's an extra pound you got to cut of water. It's an extra pound of fat you got to cut. That's an extra, however many miles or whatever speed, because whatever speed you're running at, that's an extra, how many minutes in the frickin' steam room. And yeah, I know for those of you guys out there, it's a pound, big deal. People gain and lose pounds all the time. No, I get that. And I'm not saying that the weight is the problem. What I'm saying is it has no advantage. It is 100% downside when it comes to competitive MMA. Again, outside of MMA, there's plenty of reasons, and they all make sense, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. That's fine. I just think it's not silly, but counterproductive when it comes to your competitive MMA career if you're just adding dead weight to your body. I think it's just, like I said, counterproductive. Moving on. Jake Matthews taking Andre Fialho. Fialho. Yeah. This fight was fantastic as well. A little bit of back and forth, mainly going one way as far as Jake Matthews go. Jake Matthews got this nasty of all nasty knockouts in the second round in this fight. Nasty leg kicks from Andre. He was keeping the distance, which was good to start the fight. Fialho was pressuring forward, But he was just getting picked apart, man. Matthews was able to do pretty much whatever he wanted. He was moving well. He was faster to the punch. He was thinking a few steps ahead. So every move that Fialho made, it seems like Matthews either was anticipating it or already moved into a position that would negate a bunch of positions that Andre was trying to move into or strikes he was trying to throw. Dude, and the end of the first round ended with a bit of a brawl, and Fialho landed some good shots, and it looked like he rocked Matthews, but Matthews clearly just stumbled over his own feet when walking backwards when he watched the replay. So if you look at the striking numbers here, all in favor of Jake Matthews. As far as damage goes, Matthews, easy peasy win for him in that round. Second round, Matthews was landing some of the crispest and hardest shots I have ever seen in this division, the welterweight division. They aren't. Here's the thing: they weren't the hardest shots I've ever seen. They weren't the best striking. It was just a combination. Although the striking was like top notch, they weren't big looping shots. They had a point. They had timing. It was a strategy. He had positioning, setups. Everything looked so good. And just Fialho took probably 15 of these shots right to the chin. The hardest shots I've ever seen someone take, and you just eat, at welterweight. Some of the hardest shots, maybe not the hardest, because, there have been a lot of iron chins. So, dude, finally just got, after, the last one, he just couldn't take anymore, man. 15 was too many. 3 darts is too much. What a finish. That was absolute perfection as far as start to finish for Jake Matthews. That fight was fantastic. I think he is a legitimate contender at welterweight if he can perform like this. I don't know if it was mental issues or bad game planning, weight cutting, whatever it was leading up to this to make him, not as effective as he was in this fight. But going forward, if he can pull this off more often than not, he is going to be a real problem. Cool. First fight on this is the first fight on the main card here, I believe. Ramazan Emeev versus Jack Della Maddalena. Emeev with the takedown in this hard anaconda choke, and he so he's got the Dagestani wrestling thing, and that was the big talking point, and that was all that was mattered. And when he was doing an okay job of it, but Jack just kept working, wasn't having it, and he's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. He got back up, started landing some big, nasty shots, including some good hooks to the body, and he lands this giant hook to the left hook to the body and crumples Ramazan, who goes down, and he lands some follow-up, unnecessary follow-up to get the KO. Great performance by Jack. It was really quick as far as getting out of that bad position and the grappling situation, and a way to show how to shut down some of this Dagestani stuff, which a lot of fighters need to work on, because these wrestlers are not going anywhere. Right? These Dagestani wrestlers are not going anywhere. It's a built-in part of MMA, and they're excellent fighters. They have great chins. They're a hardy people. They do not quit. You have to finish them. Right? You can't let them stay in the fight. So that is it for the main card. If you're looking for the prelims, that'll be on the next video. I will cover all of them. If you made it this far, subscribe to the channel. I promise. If you made it this far and you liked what you saw here, subscribe, because all the other videos that I post you're going to like. Go back and watch some of my old ones. I cover some fights from the past couple weekends. Maybe you watch some of them. You're like, oh, yeah, maybe that fight was worth watching. Skip through them. I put timestamps in the bottom of all of them so you can go through, find out what you're really interested in. That kind of thing. And then if you made it this far, you obviously like something, just like the video. Well, you're already here. Just click the like button. Just click. All right, cool. Also, I did not address this. There's a freaking life-size Iron Man in my room now. So that thing is gigantic. It's silly looking. Maybe I'll film one of these videos at night so you can actually see it lit up better. But I'm holding it for a friend. This is not a permanent thing. This is not me decorating my room. Looks like he's playing ping pong. It's so silly. All right. If you guys do not want to watch the next video, if you don't want to watch any of the other ones, that's fine. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. And if you do want to hop over there, awesome sauce. I love y'all. It means a lot to me. And please take it easy. Take care of yourself.